fourth one. But yeah, we play the game. People discuss it, share thoughts. If you stream, we encourage you to post your streams, whether it's just little private streams in Discord, or if you stream on Twitch or YouTube and you want to post your links there. And then at the end of the month, or usually the start of the new month, we talk about the previous game, which again, this time was for Pumpkin Jack. So I'll have a let's play kind of playing in the background as we kind of talk about it. So Pumpkin Jack is kind of a platformer action adventure game. It came out in 2020, and it is definitely by a small team. Uh, but you play as what is a villain, but doesn't really feel like it. But the character named Jack, and the devil sends you to basically defeat a mage, and uh, kind of that is the premise of the game. Shadow, you were the one who picked this game. I guess maybe a good spot to start this discussion. If you want to just talk about what kind of drew you to this game, what made you pick it, and your kind of overall thoughts of the game.
So I'm a big fan of games done quick. I watch their two yearly event, Awesome Games Done Quick and Summer Games Done Quick. And one of the Awesome Games Done Quick had this run actually, and I rewatched it today actually, and there was something about this game that really resonated with me, like the colors, the movement. It was very fun run to watch, and I'm a big platformer dude. I like Mario, I like indie stuff. So this was something was on my list, and when limited run had this as pre-order to get this game physically, I pre-ordered it, and I had planned on playing this year for Halloween, and when I got chosen by having this month's game, I thought, hey, why not include some good people and play it with me? So that's kind of where I'm at with this game, and I find it very interesting that this might be the first in EXP Monthly's history that no one have played this beforehand.
So yeah, it was definitely a new game for myself. Oh, my screen is so little. I'm just noticing lack of all the issues I have on my OBS. uh, but because I'm not popping up, I should be popping up over in the top right corner. Anyways, I'll try and focus on some stuff when I'm not talking. But yeah, so I had not even heard of this game or played it until Shadow recommended it, and the like what he is saying, I think a big thing that definitely popped out to me was the art style, but specifically like colors and how it uses colors. It definitely fully embraces Halloween and the Halloween theme, which I think is fantastic. Halloween is probably like my favorite like holiday. Like October, it's not just because my birthday is in October, but I just really like fall, and I really like that, especially being in Michigan. The color change, the smell change, and the spookiness and everything. So it's and the game is kind of that theme is bleeding from it, but definitely with the colors, the oranges, the greens, and they're like neon but not neon. And you can see some of that in kind of the let's play that's running on the screen. And I think it pops so much more playing the game too. I if you see me actually, I just switched to a different let's play because didn't know if the Switch version didn't look as good, but I think it's more just uh, probably the
The
YouTube
keyboard.
compression. Because when I was playing it, I'm like, these colors really, really pop.
The
Hey,
game looks really
Rufus.
good for being
Welcome, welcome.
I think it's Unreal 4, which
Yeah, it
is
is.
I think like 20 years old now
Yeah.
for an engine, but still going strong. So
Yeah, so yeah, it looks fantastic. We can kind of go over, I suppose, before
Can
I
I
just
interrupt?
oh, yep, up interrupt.
I think since none of us have played it before, I think it will be fun if we went around here with everyone what their expectation for this game was.
So, my expectations going into this were um I'm trying to think. I was definitely thinking, and this is something that's going to talk about a little bit later. Looking at this game, it gave me a what's the way to phrase it? It really made me reminisce about PS1 platformers like Gek, Spyro, even like Bubsy 3D, like that. There's that era of platformers in like the late '90s, Ape Escape, stuff like that, where you kind of had a bunch of these like weird characters. A bunch of them were brand new characters, and you're going around collecting a bunch of items like Banjo Kazooie, like collectathon. So that was kind of my expectation. Was this? I wonder how much of this is going to feel like one of those old late '90s platformers. And I think it met those expectations pretty well. It was not as much as a collectathon as I thought it was going to be, which I think is probably good. It does definitely have some collecting. You get these skulls that can unlock costumes and then some music. But that was kind of my expectations going into it.
What about you, Blue?
so on initial review, the in things except for the theme and like kind of the art direction, it reminded me kind of a lot of like the concept of like Portal, where it's you're getting a abbreviated short experience. They want to cram a lot of they want to cram a lot of either like environmental storytelling or just moment to moment gameplay into like every section of the game. Um, so that's kind of what I was measuring it up against, because Portal is kind of the same sort of like platforming theme, but it's a puzzle. Or this is obviously more actiony, but that's what I was like comparing it to in my head, going in. And that's kind of I feel like Portal is the like perhaps one of the best, if not the best, example of like a short game that packs a ton in, and you are like, man, I want more, but I'm also kind of glad that it didn't overstay its welcome. Same sort of concept.
And I think that is a really good thing about this game. We'll talk more details, but I definitely enjoyed the game. But I think it's like 5 hour runtime is perfect for what it is. I think it if it kept going longer for me, I think it would have been one of those games that overstayed its welcome. It kind of knew what it was, what it needed to be, and it kind of gets in and out in like the right amount of time. I don't know if that's how everyone else felt.
Pretty much, yeah.
Hmm.
So, how about you, Shadow?
Eh,
I know you said obviously you've seen this on Awesome Games Done Quick. So you'd seen the game played, but watching the game played is never the same as playing the game. So, how did the game meet your expectations from watching it be sped run?
So I was watching the speedrun, and that's quite different than playing it casually.
Were
So I
was it and real quick too, if people, especially if you watch me, apologize for my voice. I don't know why. I like yesterday I woke up and I just like lost my voice. I'm not sick. My voice doesn't feel off or anything, but my voice just is very raspy. So I apologize for that. Um, Oh, but oh yeah, I was gonna say Shadow. So was the speed run? Was it like a glitchless? Was it like one where you play through the game, or was it a speed run where he was like breaking stuff constantly and beating levels in like 2 minutes?
So the run was run by Jaxler, and the category was New Game Plus, No Out of Bounds. Uh, so it was one trick that really really remember from when I first watched the run and just seeing it today when I rewatched it. It was like this lamppost jump. He has his sight and it jumps up top of a lamppost, and he just start doing the spin attack, and he opens the menu wheel with the weapons,
All right.
and that just shoot him straight across the level. It's so mesmerizing to see. So to me, I didn't know it was so much combat that it was. I was quite surprised by that. Like, wow, there's combat in this game more than I thought. So he certainly skipped a lot. I think he beat the game in like 53 minutes.
All right. Yeah. So
I think I did like 8, and I was just searching for all the collectibles. I
yeah,
was
I
very thorough
I
in it,
didn't
but
collect everything. I did a if I seen like the skulls or like a clear like oh this is a little path off the side, I would take it. I think I beat the game in like 4.5 hours. And but yeah, I was seeing yeah, people say yeah, it's about 6 to like 8 hours to 100% it if you're going for all the collectibles.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess we can. So yeah, it's an action platformer. I think like I've seen it labeled as like hack and slash, which it definitely is. I think it's a little bit more platformer than hack and slash, though. The combat of the game, there's a bit to it. Basically, each level you beat, you get a new item and a new weapon, and you can switch between the weapons. I kind of felt when you got a weapon at the end of the level, like you're meant to kind of use that weapon in the next level. Like for example, I think the most obvious of that was you get like a gun in one of the levels, and I feel like the enemies like in the next level are really bent, like they want you to kind of fight a little bit with the gun, though you can use any weapon. But the mechanics of the game are you have a move, you basically are always sprinting, though for some reason you can hold shift to walk. uh, I was just like, why would you ever want to walk? Um, but you just have your basic attack. You can do kind of basic combos of doing like two, three attacks together or attacking in the air. Then you have a dodge and kind of a range attack. So combat's usually manipulating your range attack, your attack strings, and your rolling. But it felt good. I think my main complaint mechanically, I think, was the platforming. The jumping was a little bit too floaty for me, though it wasn't the worst. I felt like a lot of levels where you're going from like platform to platform, I was doing the thing that where you're like jumping and you're kind of spinning in the air, and like I wanted to come down quicker, and I sometimes felt like the floatiness was getting in the way a little bit, but it was never too bad. There's only a couple times I felt like I died from that.
Yeah, I
The
feel,
platforming was okay. I my biggest thing was the edges. I don't know if it was a hitbox thing, but yeah, the edges to some platforms were just like I feel like I should be making this, and like sort of like pulling to an edge mechanic was a little hit or miss. So maybe that adds to the sort of,
I felt
as you
that
say, the floaty.
at
Yeah.
times too, where sometimes, and it'll be like a grabbable edge, but sometimes it's like you wouldn't grab it, or I wasn't sure if I'd grab it, and so I'd be like doing my double jump, but then he grabbed it, and then I like jumped back off it, so then I'm like trying to float back, which I usually could get back on in that case, but I felt like, and I that was I think I was attributing that to floatiness where I was on those edges. I was a lot of times fighting the edges, where it's just like once in a while I would think I would get the grab, I'd fall. Other times I would get the grab, I wouldn't think I would get it. Then I'd jump off and be jumping backwards and have to like double jump and land back on it.
Yep.
Yeah, to comment on the floaty stuff, I do feel I agree. Especially in that second level with the mine railing and with the flaming cards. That area, I felt like it could have been more tighter, but managed to with not too much hassle. But one thing I think might be a good thing to state, like, which version did you guys play? I assume you and Blue
I
did play
played,
on PC.
yep, I played the PC version on Steam.
Yep, PC, Steam. But I have a PlayStation 5 controller that I just use for like every platformer, basically.
So I did use a mouse and keyboard, which
Oh, interesting.
usually when it comes to any platformers, I usually use. Once in a while I use PlayStation, but I like the thumbsticks being offset because I'm a GameCube boy still at heart. So I still use an Xbox One controller I've had for like like what, this fucker's got to be like 15 years old or something now. But so I grabbed this. I was about to turn it on, but I'm always interested. I'm like, how does it play on keyboard? And for the game's credit, it I think played well. It never annoyed me where I'm like I'm breaking out the Xbox controller. It played well enough where I'm like I'm happy. Which a lot of platformers I hate on mouse and keyboard. And
What
how
about you,
about you,
Shadow?
Shadow?
Did you?
I did the Switch version with the
Oh,
Pro
okay.
controller, and it was a very good port, I think. Only thing that
Well,
I
I think
have a great with which is very little, it's the loading time, but you survive a little long
which I
loading time.
think what did it originally come out on Switch? Because I thought I seen it came out on Switch, and then like a year later it came out on PlayStation 5 and Xbox.
That's correct.
One other thing, you're saying the loading time. I don't. This is like the most nitpick of nitpicks. It's not a serious complaint, but for some reason it annoyed me because it was like almost tricking my brain. Was every time you died and would like reload, how it would feel like the game was starting up for the first time. I'd do like the pumpkin jack and play like the intro game sound, and it,
Mm.
it just for some reason it just was and it did that like when you boot the game up, and I don't know, it'll like throw my brain off like you're starting the game up fresh, and it always bugged me.
Yeah. Did it bug you that the game counted the number of times you died? Because
Mm,
every loading screen, it's like you died
yeah.
23 times, and now
So
it's 24.
so originally I think I got through the first two levels. It was until I think the boss to the second level, or early on in the third level, I had not died. Because so I was playing the game. I was just like, man, this game, I'm liking it, but it's a bit too easy. Because it does, you come across like these health pots that are also checkpoints that fill you up pretty often. And then anytime you break like a scenery, it heals you, and then some enemies heal you too. So I'm like, they're just constantly healing you. I'm like, the game's a little bit too easy, but the difficulty ramps up. I think at a fair rate. I want to say I had 25 deaths. I meant to write it down, but it was like in the mid to high 20s. I think at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think I was around high 20s, maybe low 30s at the end. So not the same. Yeah, I agree. It did seem fairly easy at the beginning, and then they like ramp the difficulty as things go on. And towards the end, you have to make some pretty precise jumps and platforming.
And I thought most of the difficulty was fair. The game was just showing if you just seen there's a Minecraft segment where you're in the second level going on this Minecraft doing these jumps. Essentially every level except I think the first level has some gimmick like that. There's one level where you're on a gargoyle, there's one level where you're on like this ghost horse, but they have these segments that are like on rails where you're kind of doing jumps and sometimes you have to move side to side. Those were like the main sections of the game I did not like. Some were worse than others. And I'm trying to the one I hated the most, so where it really like clicked in like I hate this was the level where you're at the town under siege and it's probably because I was using keyboard, but you have to keep spamming spacebar to move forward and then move left and right with WASD, and then you're using the mouse
Oh
to
yeah,
constantly right click to shoot the guys on the other like minecart things. And it
yeah.
sucked. I hated it. And and I felt like all those sections, I was never excited to get to a section like that. I was just like, and it quickly, like I think, yeah, starting at the second level, it's like we're gonna have like 3 or 4 of these that you just get to, and they weren't awful, other than that one of the city. That was the only one. I'm like, this, I hate it. The others, I was just like, let's just get through this.
Yeah. I didn't really mind like the on rails bits. I didn't really mind like the boats. One that I
The
bothered me
boats were
was
okay.
the bomb puzzle, and it was just because if you got to the end and you knocked the bomb into the water, it reset all the way to the beginning, and it's like, oh great. Same thing if you fell in the water, it would keep the bomb position, but then it would respawn you at the start of the level, so you'd have to go all the way back through all the platforms you just went through. And I was like, that was kind of when I stopped the first go through. I think I did the game in three sittings, maybe 2 sittings. But I remember I stopped on a bomb section because I got all the way to the end and then knocked the bomb into the water and it respawned at the start of the room. And I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna leave that for tomorrow.
So the section the game is at right now is the section I got my first death. That is
Yeah,
Both the mine carts.
yep.
this was the section I was talking about. This
Um,
feels so close to end. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this part could have been polished a bit more, if you will, but I think this was a strange set piece to have in the second level. I think
yeah.
this could have been in a later level, at least for a difficulty it ramps up. Talking about death and stuff like that, you guys make me look bad. Though I did was thorough and try to, can I jump here? Nope, I can't. I think I got like mid 50 deaths.
Was that
Well, if you were going for the
if you're
collectibles,
going
that
for
probably,
Yeah,
collectibles, yeah, probably
yeah.
because that I had a
I,
couple deaths going for some collectibles.
so I
They
got,
definitely did the thing where they put those like off the beaten path, and like you have to do a more complicated route for this area to get to that to get to this little masks.
So how did you feel about the unlocks? So I I was getting some skulls, and I think I must have ended the game with like 50 or something because I unlocked like 4 costumes. One of the costumes was like 30 skulls. I never picked any of every time I unlocked a costume, it's just like this isn't as cool as its default form.
one of my
Yeah.
one of my main notes from this game is like I think the costumes are weak.
Yeah.
Uh, no, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but in the credits, you see Jack in an earlier build with an armor, and that is such a cool costume. I don't understand why that's not in the game, because
Yeah,
that was a really cool something else than just what was just plain boring. Sometimes I just had to really squint my eyes to see the difference.
yeah. I just felt like again, I unlocked at least three. I want to say I unlocked four. I think I unlocked like the 5, 10, probably the 5, 10, 20, and 30 or something. But I kept, I didn't like you didn't get to see the costume before you unlocked it. I was like, that's
Mm.
kind of dumb. But
They only saw the name of it,
yeah,
like
but
Boy or something like that.
and then but I think you're right on Shadow. For a game like this, especially like a platformer with like some unlocks, like that should be like a big staple of a game in this genre. And I just felt like all the costumes were very uninspiring and generic. Like I think the 30 skull one was just called like skeleton, and it's just him, but instead of this like suit, it's just a skeleton that his pumpkin
Although
set.
to be
It's
fair, I feel like cosmetics like that, especially when you have to like change the actual model, is probably a ton of workload for maybe not a completely solo developer, but like at its core, like one main guy, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, art assets like that are a pretty big
It,
time sink.
I
I
I
would
think a
guess.
little bit could go into it. Like I think a cool thing with the skeleton, for example, it's like all right, have a skeleton, but like give it like a green fire heart and like red fire guts or something. Especially because I think the lighting in this game is done so cool, and like you see like in the scene right now, like those ghost guys, like their eyes are glowing. The boss, his like mouth, and so I think you could still keep like a simple design, but like have things to spice it up. Because like another one was just like him in like a plaid shirt. That's just like this, like give me something more cool looking, uh, or I think like Shadow's talking about. It's like unlock like his old design from like the beta, the early testing. Like I think stuff like that would be really cool.
We're kind of like again. I'm gonna go back to Portal, like a broken record. The thing that they did in that was they added the like developer commentary type situation where you had like the audio logs that you could
Yeah.
like trigger in each room, each zone. I feel like that could be, as an alternative of like additional content that you could add to the game that is sort of outside the core gameplay loop, but like you could make it unlockable would be super interesting. I think.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how much like
Well, I think
overwhelming to
stuff
add,
like
but I
that
mean, if
is
you're
cool
commenting on stuff, yeah,
because it's
yeah,
almost like a director's commentary, but for a video game.
yep.
Um, I think something like that would be a cool, and again, something like that too. I think for a future like smaller game devs, I know you're all watching. Um, is yeah, obviously everything takes work, but that compared to like designing a game probably is fairly. It's like all right, trigger audio file when level starts, or trigger audio file when
Yeah,
there's checkpoint.
when you walk into a thing, yeah.
Because I think that yeah, because that would always be I think especially an indie game, being able to hear like the creator's thoughts would be really cool.
And something like that is, I mean, you could argue that it's pretty easy to add skins after the fact too, because you just sort of create the new textures and plug those in. But commentary is also something that I think would be pretty easy to add. Even once the game is launched, you could add like it in a patch, director's cut patch or whatever.
So, what about the bosses? How was everyone's feeling about the bosses? Was there any boss fight you really hated, really liked, thought was unique or interesting? Shadow, maybe if you want to start on that one.
I think the game was a mixed bag for me. My least favorite was I believe it was the third boss in the swamp area where you have like this freeze layer of freeze stump
Yep.
with ice. You have to just hit the green potion at the right angle. at the same time trying to dodge the guy that's trying to whip you. I think if you nailed how the potions
I'll
like
jump to
did
that.
homing attack towards the eye, if you could fine tune that, it wouldn't be so. I don't want to see bad but worse, but it
So
felt a bit too finicky to just try to aim with such a limited time on your end.
so
So
the
that also racked up my death score.
so yeah, I have the fight on screen right now that he's talking about, and I agree. This I think was the worst boss fight. I died at probably 4 times, and it was always in the third
Wow.
section. So it's like the first level, you just hit these potions into the eye, and then you realize there's red potions. If you hit them, they hurt you. The others don't. So you hit these green potions, and then the second level, these stumps you can see rotate around, and then one of the villains will pop up and try and hit you. So you gotta keep moving, and you're kind of a lot of times taking damage here. And then the third level, the stump starts to rotate, and you're still dealing with this stuff on the ground, and it was just annoying because I think like what Shadow was talking about, I felt the same way. It's like, all right, I'm having to watch my character, I'm having to watch where these eyes are, I'm having to watch these potions and make sure I'm hitting the right one, and also watch this villain who's popping down or trying to hit me.
And and you need to stand in one place so the potion comes at your
Yeah,
location,
yep.
so you can. It was just too much.
It it was one of two fights that like annoyed me because I think it's like the third time I died on it. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, I'm not having fun with this boss fight. Uh, the
Wow.
other boss
I
fight
didn't
that
realize that was so much trouble. I don't think I had that much trouble with that boss. I don't
Really,
know that I really had that many problems with any of the bosses. I know I had to do the final boss twice
yeah
because I just like jumped off the frickin' level. But
the
um,
final
yeah,
boss
I
I
don't
think
think.
took me 3 times. So the second time I died in the final boss, I was kind of annoyed. But I think that one, like not so much annoyed. The final boss I think was tough, but it
Yeah,
was I want it. Like if there's gonna be a hard annoying boss, the final boss kind of
may as well
earns
be the
that.
final one. Yeah,
The
yeah.
thing I didn't like
actually,
about the final boss was his whole gimmick is he's shooting stuff at you, and a lot of bosses I do think they played kind of the same, but had enough of a spin they all felt good. Because the final boss, like most bosses, kind of will shoot attacks at you that you need to dodge, and then they have their opening, and then you exploit it, damage them, and you do it 3 times. The thing that annoyed me about the final boss was he like is shooting his stuff at you after you dodge it. There's these four like pillars that come out of the ground that he's like charging him, and you have to break them all. And you have to be pretty quick because I there's once or twice I broke like 3 of the 4, and then if you just don't get to the fourth one, it just cycles the attacks again, and then all 4 come up again. And I was just like, I wish like if you destroy 2 of them, only 2 came back up. But that said, it's the final boss. It just did kind of be like it was a bit annoying, I guess, where it's like none of your work counts if you don't break all 4 in the time limit.
Yeah.
This is not Minecraft, Mr. Venice of the
Mm.
Underdark.
well, I didn't even know that the pillars just return if you didn't was fast enough. But I actually quite liked the final boss, and I even wrote in my notes, "Thank for not having a second phase."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a trope I'm so sick of in games. Like, just let it be one and done. it was a game from last year. Philbert knows which game I'm talking about, but that broke me with phases for bosses. Like,
You mean you don't
let's
like
just say
18 phases in your game?
get some help.
You don't like phases to your phase?
No.
No, I agree with that. I think phases and bosses, I think, are fine, but they need to be earned and make good sense in both of like the narrative and just the game. And again, I agree with you. This is the type of game where what I was kind of mentioning earlier with it really reminded me of those like that PS1 era platformers where you have like your levels, you're getting like your collections, and the level ends with like a boss fight. And that's just what it is. It's a boss fight. It's not this like gauntlet at the end. It's just like, all right, and beat the big bad, move on. And I was wondering what the final boss was gonna be like. And I think I was also satisfied where it's like, good. It was just a single fight. I beat him. Game's over.
Yeah.
So Blue, I guess were there any bosses you wanted to specifically touch on, or any
I
thoughts
don't think
about?
so. I don't like I said, I don't think I struggled with any of the bosses in particular. There were definitely sections of the game that were more difficult. Um, I spent an insanely long time on the bridge section, which is like on the last level where there's all these like floating islands and you can turn like swap the light bridges from one island to the
Oh
other.
yeah.
I spent so much time on that section to the point where it was like getting to like, all right, we're just in these light bridges trying to figure out where they all go.
To tell you the truth, I didn't understand that puzzle.
Uh,
I just went around and hitting stuff on like at one
So-
point.
Eventually, these bridges will go to where I need them to go.
I
Yeah.
picked up on that
Exactly.
one fairly quick, though it took me a second because there's like one of them because they all I think switch between two spots, but there's one that switches between three, so I didn't notice that. But the level on screen right now that he already did it in this Let's Play, but we have to get the 4 planks of wood. It's like 4 or 5 planks. There's one plank I could not find, and it took me forever, and I was getting so annoyed. But it's like behind the wall. Yeah, it's like I finally like seen like the area. I'm like, oh, that's where it's got to be. But that was the only area that I think I got like stuck for more than like 5 minutes. There's a couple other spots I got hung up a short time, but that's the spot where it's like 15 minutes. I felt like I was just running around looking for this last plank of wood. It's just like, where the hell is this? It's since it's on screen right now. How did you feel about each level had usually multiple moments of like a mini game where you took your pumpkin head off and had to like complete some like little mini game. So this one we had to keep hitting these little buzzer things quick enough to cause that cylinder to go all the way to the top. There's the one you talked about, Blue. The one level you had to keep getting that bomb across the level. Uh, how did you feel about those parts of the game?
I mean, I would say I liked the normal gameplay of the game more, but they were all short enough to where they didn't get grating. They were always, I guess, fine.
No, this was the one I
Um,
was talking about that I hated.
Oh, the race one.
Yeah.
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 And again, I was playing keyboard, so I'm having to
Keyboard
mash
and mouse, yeah.
space bar, still do my WSAD, and then I'm also having to use the mouse to right click to shoot these guys.
Only that, but it's very rubber bandy.
Well, and that's
Like,
I kind of realized
Yeah, they do the
at the
classic
end I was
racing
like,
thing where they.
I don't even need to shoot them. It's just like, all right, you just gotta kind of race into like the last like this moment, and then just be ready to shoot them or crash them into the wall.
I don't know how many times. I think this was two times you did that in that level. I think the last part I struggled a bit because there was always this fellow that just zoomed right towards past me at the end, and I had to just redo it again. It was such annoying, but oh well. But you also talked about those head mini games.
Yep.
I think the one I liked the best was the memory one, and I don't know if you picked it up, but there were some Easter eggs on those tombstones. Like the first one that popped up for me was Eric Cartman.
Oh yeah,
Have a tombstone,
I seen
and there's a
cart.
bunch of Lord of the Rings characters too.
That was probably the one I hated the most. Just because
Oh,
what the first time you got to that tombstone one, so Chad was talking about, you've seen some of it where the pumpkin head comes off, and one of them is basically a matching game where there's a bunch of tombstones in a grid. You hit one, a name comes up. You hit another, a name comes up, and you're trying to match two last names. So there's like Eric Cartman and Katie Cartman, and when you match those two up, they explode. And and at first, I didn't realize what I was supposed to be matching. And then finally, after like hitting them all, I was just like, oh, it's the last names, I bet. And I realized that, but then it's just like now it's just like a slog of time. Like, all right, here's Wilson, and I'm just hitting the next one. Oh, that's not Wilson. Go back to the Wilson one, and I'm just like going through. Uh, that was probably, I think, the one I liked the least amount. But I guess I missed the. I noticed the Cartman, but I guess I wasn't paying attention to see if for other Easter eggs in there.
did you notice any Easter eggs by the names Blue?
I noticed them vaguely. Um, None that stuck in my mind, but yeah, I recognized a few of the names.
Right. But
Not enough to be memorable, though.
while we're still talking about the head mini games, it was the bomb, it was the pushing the blocks and jump to hit the lever, it was the packaging, whack-a-mole. What were the two last one and the tombstone? I don't remember the last one.
um, yeah, there was the. I'm not sure what the other one was. I Yeah,
So
so there was the Christmas one where you had to match the
yeah, the
symbols.
symbols.
Yeah, the packaging. That
Oh,
one was
packaging. Yeah.
good.
Yeah, packaging, headstone. There was the one where you hit the buzzers to make the thing go up. Um, the bomb one and the sound one, the Simon Says one.
Oh yeah, right.
Hmm.
Which, so speaking of the Simon Says one, um, I didn't hate it. I did think the sound was a little bit lazy. I did notice, especially the Says one did it, and the when you're doing the horse like section, like the horse on rail section, and there's another one of those on rail sections. And I get it, it's an indie game, but they definitely were leaning on their uh, royalty free music.
Yeah.
And which I think is fine. I just it and this is, I think, a little bit more of like a me issue, just kind of, and especially when I'm playing the game for like EXP Monthly, I'm more sensitive to picking up stuff like this. But I started to really pick up like, oh, this track was chosen because it's royalty free. Oh, this track was chosen because it's like from 1888 and it's Flight of the Valkyries. Oh, that like, and one like almost every track is like a remix of like something famous royalty free. I just thought it was a little bit obvious. I would have preferred to have. They were definitely doing their own flair on the music, which was good, but I would have liked just a little bit more creativity with a couple more unique tracks.
The horse rail section with the music, that actually got a chuckle out of me because it was so unexpected and kind of bit unfitting, but they made it fit with the Halloweeny theme
Yeah,
music. That
and yeah, and that's what they did a good job with, like all those songs. Was they definitely put like the Halloween uh, spin on it, which was good. It wasn't like they were just like royalty free track insert into game. And here we go with another one of my favorite sections.
Yeah, I think this is the race I had some trouble with, and I was gonna go back to this level after I've done this part, and I was just jumping on stuff, and I got out of bounds all the time. I was just looking for the last skull I needed in this level, but I never managed to find it. Every time I got stuck or something, because I thought the last skull was in that part, like you had to go back, but I don't know. It feels like they didn't expect you to go back there after you beat the boss.
Um, and yeah, I'm trying to think other things to kind of bring up, and feel free if there's any aspects of the game we want to bring up. Probably as we were kind of closing in, I thought as we were talking in the beginning, the narrative of the game was pretty short. The game definitely had its like charm. I liked it. I do think it was not to like use this as like in a bad way. I do think it was like cute. Um, but yeah, you kind of figure out like the mage you're going to kill for the devil is essentially like Santa Claus at the end, and like the last level's like in like a Nightmare on Christmas, like Christmas level, which was like fun. Um,
I think that was really clever for a Halloween level to have the last level to be
yeah, be
Christmas
like
theme.
the
I think
Christmas.
that's a stroke of genius, actually.
Uh, so yeah, the whole and of course it's not a game where you get invested like heavily into the narrative. I did think it was a fun little dynamic between you and the raven that follows you around that you kind of see talking all the time. I think again, indie game, it's not like a huge criticism. Having a little bit of voice acting for the bird, at least the companion, I think would have went a long way. Especially like when you're in these fights and he's talking. It is a game where you kind of have to be paying attention to where you're moving, what you're landing on. So a lot of the times he's like saying his little quips, and I'm only like half catching it because it's like I
Yeah.
can't be
Can't be
reading it.
distracted reading this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I thought most of the quips and stuff were funny. They were uh, you had that like a little bit of a sassy charm attitude going on, which I think worked. But I guess just wanted to touch on that. I don't know if anyone else has like kind of thoughts on kind of the narrative and kind of characters of the game.
oh yeah, I'm definitely wishing Jack and the Crow were voice acted because, like you said, I really like the sassy nature of Jack and the cowardness of the Crow. So I think that would be a very cool dynamic to hear. But
I did
it's what it is.
I did think it was kind of weird. And again, this is not even so much like a criticism. This is just me kind of like analyzing the game as I'm playing it and after I'm playing it. I did kind of find it weird that once you beat a level, the game did have a narrator that was voiced, and he just literally explained what you just did.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why are you like, why don't we? Because when there's that narrator, I was kind of thinking, like, why don't we have like just this Raven voice in this game? Because we hired at least one voice actor, and
Right.
so if you're watching, it's showing it right now. Every time you beat a boss, it then literally just narrates the level, and it's telling you everything you exactly just did and found out. And it's not like bad. It was just strange. Like usually, if this was happening, it would be like you beat the boss, and then it would be like narrating like what's happening between the levels or something.
Right. The intermission
Yeah.
between. Yeah.
So yeah, I did find that definitely a choice. And again, not even like a bad one because these are pretty short, but it's just like put this work to, I think, cutscenes like in the game, not after the level exactly explaining what we just did.
Right. Yeah, and maybe it's just a small developer type thing where they could have paid more attention to certain things. Like there was a lot that they did right, and a lot that's like 80% of the way there. And
Yeah.
that like just that last little bit, if they would have reprioritized a bit, I think would like be amazing level.
Yeah, one thing that's really caught my surprise, like when I first got introduced to Jack, he was like, he's this trickster that can fool everyone, and I was like, I know where this is going. Like, you start as the bad guy and you're gonna trick the devil at the end, but no, you're just doing as he says. You're the bad guy through and through, and I actually appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what I at the start of the game I was like I was under that assumption too. Like, all right, we're the bad guy. We're going to go kill this wizard, but then we're going to find out a way to like actually help him and join with him. But once you get like to level 4, so the game we have mentioned is fairly short. It's 6 levels total. Each level is about 20 to 30 minutes. But the if you're not going for like all the collectible, if you're just playing through a level. But yeah, by like level 4, it's just like, this mage seems like kind of an asshole. So then I was like, I wonder if
Yeah.
you're just gonna straight up just kill the mage, and but I still expecting him to like get one over at the devil, which what you end up getting like the amulet to control the monster earth
Hey, you basically
realm.
become a like godlike power
Yeah.
like yourself.
But it was weird because they keep. I think they even say Earth a couple times, but you're like in a Halloween kind of world.
What is it, Arcan Seal or whatever
Yeah.
is they name it.
Yeah, I think it's like the last part of human is trying to fight against, and I think they're losing, so they need Jack to trick them or something like that. So,
Yeah, and it's interesting. The original story of like Pumpkin Jack, like the myth, is all about him tricking the devil like multiple times.
Yeah.
But then it like he sort of gets his comeuppance at the end because he ends up like basically trapped in limbo for like all of eternity or whatever. So they kind of, and that's the other thing is like the devil isn't really a significant character in the game.
Yeah, it's like
They
they're at
just
the
have like
beginning.
the
It's
owl
just like
that's like trying
yeah.
to keep you on track. Whereas in the original story, like Satan is the main guy that you're interacting like, or that Pumpkin Jack is like having to deal with. Versus in this one where like you're just kind of doing Satan's bidding until like the very last scene of the game, and then you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna have this power. Thanks, bye.
Yeah.
Like it would have. I thought that it was gonna be like, all right, we're taking this amulet or whatever of ultimate power, and the devil's gonna show up and be like, and that's mine. No, don't do that. And then just like didn't. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, we're just doing.
because that's what I was kind of thinking too, like how Shadow was talking about like a second form. I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna defeat the mage, you're gonna get the amulet with power or whatever, or the devil's gonna show up and be like, nope, you're screwed, or
Yeah.
and then the devil's gonna be the final fight. So you kind of become like the good guy because you end up like defeating the devil, but it's like no, you just literally did the job he sent you for, and then you got a bonus.
Yep.
Oh, this brings some PSD.
Yeah, the let's play we're
Uh,
watching is quite. I thought this was gonna be
I
worse on keyboard. It was not that bad. I don't know what this guy's doing. Who's playing it? He just is grinding into the
well,
ground, turned to dust.
I feel like controls in that segment was a bit weird, wasn't it? Like, I feel like the buildings came a bit too fast for you to react. I don't know if I'm just getting old and
No,
useless, or if that's
it's definitely there's some of that going on, and that's why like all these segments I felt like had aspects of that, and because some of them too, like the one where you're like on the horse, like there's some stuff you didn't need to jump over, some you did, and it's a mix of like I don't understand like the level I'm going through right now. It's like on rails, but it isn't, and I don't know what I'm supposed to be necessarily avoiding at all times. And generally, they were pretty forgiven. There's only a couple of them. I think I failed the horse one once. Um, a couple of the others I maybe failed once or twice, and you kind of learn it the first time if you failed it. But
mm,
this is also one I didn't realize I missed one of these and I couldn't find it. It was like the one in the like one in a corner. And I probably spent like 5 minutes trying to find the last tombstone.
yeah. I think those segment like the minecart, the horse, the gargoyle. I think it's a very cool idea to like mix up the gameplay, but I don't really feel like the execution was right there.
Yeah,
But I like what they're going for.
and I think that's what Blue hit on really good. I one thing I did like is just showing there was I did like if you broke the candles, stuff would catch on fire and the fire would spread. A little
Hmm.
cool detail that a couple times got me in trouble, but I appreciated it. But I think, like Blue was saying, there's a lot of things about the game that were like done like 80% right, and the other like 20% wasn't even bad. It just needed adjusted. Because I did appreciate those sections, like that tombstone section, these head sections. Are like a lot of this is clearly there to spice the game up, where it's like we're not just gonna run around platform and slash plat. It's like we're gonna have stuff to mix it up, which I think is important. I just feel like some of the stuff did not hit as good as it could, and again, not to harp on small, very small team. So I think the game came out fantastic, all things like in context. But I think it would be like the thing if this is a game worked on by like a dozen people, you would see the improvement in some of this like side content, where it could really kind of have someone like, hey, you work on like your job is like coding this, but you're also going to be the guy who really focuses on like this tombstone section, where you could kind of like hand stuff off and not kind of have like one guy who's having to do it all.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point you're bringing up now. Like, this was mainly done by one guy,
Yeah,
and that just blows my mind because it's a good game. It has some flaws, yeah, but which game doesn't? I
yeah,
mean,
and yeah, again, for being primarily one person designing this, it's that all said and done, like it's fantastic. When I'm trying to think, I can't think of another game that is essentially designed by like one or two people that's this ambitious. That isn't like just a narrative adventure game or a narrative point and click game or like a browser game or something.
Yeah, only thing I can think of this is quite different since it's 2D, but Undertale and Stardew Valley, but not like a 3D platformer,
Yeah.
which has so expressive artwork. It's I just take my hat off for Nicholas. This is incredible.
And yeah, so
I'm
or
trying to think if there are any. Maybe RimWorld might have started out. I don't remember if RimWorld is only one person. I think it might have been, but RimWorld's the only one that comes to my mind. But yeah, this is very good for a solo developer. Like I say, I think it's reasonable to say like how much can a single person feasibly do, right? Like 80% of amazing on basically every concept that they you know attacked. I think is pretty good. Oh.
um yeah, so
And they
I
don't have an
guess
endless amount of workshop mods to shore up every part of the game that they didn't perfect.
So, do you guys think this is gonna be a Halloween tradition for you to play this game from here on out?
for me I don't think it's gonna be a tradition. Really love again the look of the game, the colors, and I can't stress enough like playing it like the colors pop so much more. Yeah, now Vinny's talking Boo Men. Now that's a Halloween tradition. But it, I don't know if it's a game I'll necessarily come back to that often. I can see myself coming back to maybe like next Halloween, trying to like complete it, get like all the collectibles. But for me, generally, I'm not someone that really has too many like seasonal games. I think the only game that I kind of have like a season with is Super Mario Sunshine, like in the summer, and that's kind of like in every 3 years. I'm like, all right, like that first like hot day in the summer, it's like time to break out Sunshine. But even that's like once every like 3 years, I probably boot that up and play through it.
What about you, Blue?
Yeah, I probably not the right person to ask because I don't like replay games all that often unless they're sort of like open-ended open world experience type things. Like once I beat a platformer, like even the old ones, like I have no desire to go back and play like Super Mario in any capacity. Um I think there's only like a handful of games that I would ever really go back and replay through that are sort of linear level by level experiences like this. Um, but I mean that doesn't count against the game really.
No. I think for myself, I don't think this is gonna be a tradition, but I think I'm gonna replay this at some point. It was a fun time, despite some nitpick, but yeah. And one thing I just wanna shoot in: did you guys speak to the salesman?
Yeah,
Sometimes, yeah.
the guy who sells you
I,
the costumes.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think the interaction with him and Jack was pretty good.
Vinny, I only go back to Minecraft because I'm obligated. Uh, but I guess so. Yeah, Minecraft May is the other seasonal game for me. Um,
Is that gonna be EXP Monthly's game for May?
Just
trying to think the
Minecraft.
Elder Dragon. Uh, so I guess kind of to wrap up, just your final thought, everyone's final thoughts. For me, if you like platformers or if you're really into like Halloween themed stuff, I think it's definitely worth checking out. It's not an expensive game, and hell, I think when we picked it up at the start of October, me and Blue got it on Steam for it's like $3 or something on sale. I think what it's like
Yep.
a $10 game. I think full price or something. But I think it's a fairly short game in a good way. Like you're gonna probably beat it in like 5 hours. If you go for all the collectibles, it's gonna be like 8. But at that price point, I think that's fair. And it's as Shadow is kind of getting at, I think it's a game too that if you enjoy it, it's gonna be something you can come back to like every Halloween or every other Halloween and probably have a lot of fun. It has its flaws. I think when it comes to the combat, it's not too complex. You have your a couple attack chains, some dodging to make it interesting enough. And the platforming is decent for me. I do think is a bit floaty, but the art direction and just like the charm of the game does a lot to carry it, at least for me. And I think Will, if you like platformers and just the look and feel of it.
Yep, I would say it's 100% worth it on sale. Even if you just sort of rock it through at one time, $4 for a 4-hour game, it's a pretty good value proposition. um, so, yeah, and like I said, like almost all, like, yeah, as you said, the art is excellent. And yeah, there are flaws, but most of it is like, again, you got 80% of the way there, which is good enough, I'd say, for a solo developer. Oh,
That's
I would be
B
super
minus
interested.
from Blue.
I would be super interested to hear just like the perspective of like the developer as they were working through things, and they kind of have that in like the end credits of the game where they were like putting up screenshots and like kind of part of the development in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just be interested to hear like what was the toughest thing to tackle, like how much time did each task take, like relative to each other. I think it would be super interesting to have information along those lines. Like that's one way you could get me to replay this game. Be like, there's a developer commentary version.
Well, I
I'd
seen he's
replay it
making, I
just to
think,
hear
like
it.
a new Pumpkin Jack game too. I didn't look
Oh,
into it. I just see an update on Steam that I uh, I would have to go back and look, but I think he's making. It's like I think a shooter, but it's still Pumpkin Jack or
Hmm.
something. But out
that
because like what you're saying, Blue, I think would be interesting too. It's like because I'm sure this is the type of game at some point you just have to get it out the door, and there's stuff you want to keep improving or tweaking or adjusting. Because I know I have a couple of friends that design board games for a living, and that's like the biggest challenge is like at some point you have to cut stuff and trim stuff because otherwise you're gonna keep developing the game for an eternity. And I think a video game, especially a 3D action one like this, like that's got to be such a unique uh, challenge, even more than like a 2D game or a board game.
Yeah, that what you were saying brings up an interesting question. Like, if this got a sequel or spin-off, would you guys be interesting to play it?
Yeah, I'll definitely check
Sure.
it out. Yeah, yeah. Let me pull up, um, because I think he has a unlock Pumpkin Jack skin in open far west. So it's multiplayer. It's a 1 to 4 player co-op shooter. For some reason, it's not pulling up the Steam page.
So you brought about the myth of Pumpkin Jack, Blue, about the devil had more of a role in that tale, but maybe he's saving that for a potential sequel? Question mark.
So
Could be.
yeah, this one is actually not punk. You can just unlock a Pumpkin Jack skin for it, but it
Uh,
looks like it's a Wild West co-op shooter. that he's working on next. But
Could be
yeah, so
interesting.
I'll definitely check out, because the person's talented to kind of put a game like that together. Obviously, I'm sure he had help with some of the art and sound and whatnot, but being like mainly the main dev to do it all, that's a lot of talent. So I'm definitely interested to see what their future projects are, and maybe watch this other game he's working on to put out. But yeah, Shadow, what were kind of your final thoughts and experiences?
Consider he made this in like 4 years. Incredible art direction, fun gameplay, varied gameplay. I think this is very impressive, and it's gonna be interesting to see what he does next. And what I loved in the credits, where he put picture of early builds at him talking at a panel at a con, stuff like that. I wish like more indie games did that, because that was super fun to see. Like, this is how Jack looked in 2021, and we changed that and all that. So I'm very pleased with this game, and it was something else than survival horror, which tends to be the uh, theme for Halloween games. So I think maybe a platformer like this would spice things up. So I hope you guys enjoyed your time with it.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, thanks for recommending this for your XP Monthly. Definitely a game I would probably have otherwise never have looked at or played. Um, and yeah, to kind of end this off, again, if you haven't, joined the Discord, and we are playing To the Moon, which is a short narrative game, also about 3 or 4 hours. I know I went through and beat it in about 2 days. Blue went through and beat it. I know Miss Moon had already started to play it. Um, so hopefully a lot of people partake. And that is a very narrative driven game, and is one I'm very interested to talk about. um, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And again, we'll probably do our podcast for that in mid November. It'll just kind of depend on if people have time to play it. I'll push it back if we need to. And then yeah, we'll be playing Fable. This guy is getting horrible frame rates for some reason in that section. But we'll be playing Fable, and another good reason to get in the Discord and uh, talk about uh, games is we still are trying to pick what we're gonna do for January and February. Uh, Taylor's been in there. We've been talking a lot about Knights of the Old Republic, which is a game that's been on my backlog for a long time as well. Vinny's in here trying to do a Borderlands, which I was talking to Vinny a little bit about this, and this is, I think, would be a fun idea. And I think it would be something I'd want to plan a little bit, but something like a Borderlands where it's like a co-op game, and going into the month before we'll start it, people like sign up in groups where it's like
Mm.
these 4 people are gonna play together through the game together. These, like, whoever's gonna play it, like, get in groups and like try and plan ahead where it's like, hey, Mondays we'll try and play through the game. So I do think it would be fun to pick a game like that where uh, people are encouraged to like actually play together if it's like a co-op multiplayer
Mm.
experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a couple still kind of on the short list. We'll probably try and pick at least February and January here before mid-November, because I like to give people time to plan, especially if they don't own games. They can wish list them, get them on sale, or just play through them on borrow them from a friend or something. But yeah, that was EXP Monthly for October. Again, the game was Pumpkin Jack. You can find it on all major platforms: Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC. And it sounds like we all recommend it, especially if you come across it on sale. And I'm
And to just
oh,
shoot
yep.
in, you can also find a physical copy if that's your cup of tea on Video Games Plus, if that's something you're into. Back to you, Filbert. And of course, it takes a drink.
Oh, and you broke your mic.
You're muted. We can't hear you.
Yep, very muted.
Almost one episode without technical
Right?
issues.
All right, I'm back.
You should be so
The
lucky.
the good
Hey,
news is whatever is causing all my USB drivers to die and come back,
yes.
everything reconnects now. Everything just dies for like 5 seconds. I don't have to go and reconnect all my audio and mics. But yeah, I'm gonna just go on a Be Right Back screen, and I'm gonna keep streaming. Probably switch it up to either, I don't know, Blue, if you want to do some Battlefield, but maybe.
Yeah, the crew is over there getting farmed, so.
So, as always, I appreciate people watching. I'll probably be switching to some Battlefield 6. I will upload just this cut out version of EXP Monthly on the channel as well, so keep a lookout for just that upload, probably to go up tomorrow or Wednesday if you want to go back and watch just the podcast segment. And on the YouTube channel, there is a playlist for just the podcast and then everything that is EXP Monthly. So it's essentially like the pre games and the podcast. And I have a few other ideas for other content I want to start working on in relation to EXP Monthly and games to cover, but those are kind of a little bit future ideas, but hopefully are going to be coming soon. So again, thanks for watching. Stick around if you want to watch me and Blue get smashed in Battlefield and rage and yell. But also, again, huge thanks for being a part of the Shadow. And I'm
Thanks
sure
for
I'll
having me.
talk to you in the
Thank
Discord.
you.
And
See you next month.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone.
all right, see ya.